So now finally we are going to start doing our first simulation, and we are going to follow the first tutorial on the website. So if you go, I'm going to move it here. If you go to the webots website, so you don't need to do this because I'm going to describe all the steps in the video and in the slides. So, but if you wanted to get more information, you can go to the website and you can go to documentation and you can click on user guide. And here on the left, you can click on tutorials and you can click on the first one. And this is the one that we are going to do now, which is going to be the main task of this lab session. You can see on the left that there is a lot of information here, like getting started with webots, programming language setup, programming fundamentals and things like that. If you have the time, I highly recommend that you go through these different sections, which is going to take you something like 1 or 2 hours maybe. Because it's very likely that if you have some problems going through this, this first tutorial, some of the solutions to your problems are probably somewhere there. Otherwise, obviously, you can ask me and I will try to help you. But if you have, I don't know, if you're having fun and you want to get more information, here is the place to go. But as I was saying, like we are going to do the simulation slowly, using the different software and the different steps, and following the slides. So if you're adventurous enough, you can actually just follow the guide here, where you can see like there are like different hands-on examples that you need to do, like start webots, do this, do that. So you can actually do everything on the website reading if you want. Otherwise, you can follow the slides and follow the different videos. So yeah, so if we go to the slides, you will see, the first step is going to be about creating a new world. And remember on the things I said before, that it says that a world is a file that contains all the information of the objects and the robots and how they look, and their characteristics. It also defines the initial state of the simulation. So if you remember, like on webots, here when I press this button, it resets the simulation and it goes to the initial step. So it also, a world is also going to define this. And then, as we were saying a bit, is that the different objects are called nodes and they are organized in the scene tree. So for example, here we have this robot, which is on the scene tree here, and we can see some of the information. And then, for example, this box, is this object here, and it's going to have some information inside about its scale and things like that. So the first thing, so if you follow my slides, you will see that some sections are in gray. So these are the sections that you actually need to do yourself. So I'm going to move them to the left so that I can read them, and then I'm going to execute the different steps on the software. So I highly recommend, if you can get two screens, to have the slides on the left and the software on the right, and then follow both things at the same time. So the first thing that we need to do is to pause the current simulation. So now it's playing, so I'm just going to pause it. And then we're going to create a new project. So in order to create a new project, we go to wizards and then we click on new project directory that you can see here. And then it's just a window where there is not much to do much. So click next. And then it says to define like the name of our project. And following the tutorial, we are going to call it my first simulation. I hope it's going to let me do this. Yeah. And now here is also asking me to choose like a name for my world. So I'm going to say my first simulation. And I can select all these things. I'm also going to select to add a rectangle arena, which is like, like a rectangle arena like the one you can see here. So now I click next. And I'm going to see that webots has created, all these different files and the directories on my folder, which in my case is in documents. So you can see it created like a folder called my first simulation. This folder has another folder called worlds, where it's going to be like the WBT file, which is the one that contains all the information. There is also going to be a folder named controllers, which at the moment is empty, where I'm going to put all my programming files that are going to, program the controllers. And then prototypes, plugins, physics, probably I'm not going to do anything about this. So now I can click finish. Had a small problem, but I fix it. So yeah, if you follow those steps, you will be presented with information like this on the 3D image. You can close this because we don't have any controller, like this information was from the previous world. So here, there is nothing. If you rotate, you can see something on the environment. And this is like the 3D arena that we were clicking to use. So now we are going to modify this 3D arena. So, and we are going to do this using the scene tree. So if you follow my slides or the tutorial, it says to double click on the rectangle arena, and this is going to open, its different fields. And we can click on floor tile size, which is the size of these tiles, which now are quite big. And we can put them like to 0.25 meters instead of 0.5. So now once I put the X, you can see that they got narrow in one direction. And now I can put the Y, and you can see that they are smaller overall. And I also can change the wall height, for example, which is 0.1. So I'm going to put it to 0.05, and you will see how this whole this wall gets smaller. So you can see how it gets smaller. There are other things I can do, like for example, if you don't like the texture on the background, which is like, kind of black, instead of mountains, you can choose, it doesn't let me do like empty office. So yeah, for example, this one, like empty office, for example, or stadium. I don't know, you can change like how the environment is going to look. And hopefully you get to something like this, where you have like these small squares and this like short wall. So the next thing that we are going to do is that we are going to add an object. We are going to add a box. So in order to do so, we double click on the arena so it's selected. And now finally we click on the add button here, the one on the top. So we are going to use this button to add objects to our scene tree and to our scene. So I've just clicked it, and it takes a bit to open. So here we can go to, we want to add a box. So we can go to proto nodes. We can go to objects, and we can go to factory. We can go to containers, and we can select like a wooden box solid, which is going to look like this. So if we click add, you can see like this very box appeared on the arena, which is really big. So the next thing that we are going to do is going to change its size. So if we go here, we choose the size, and we are going to say 0.1, 0.1, and 0.1. So now it's smaller, and you can see that because we changed the size, it's sort of like hanging around. So we are going to fix this by changing the translation, so the position. So instead of 0.3, we can put like something like 0.05. And now the box, it's against the ground. I'm going to save the world, remember Ctrl+Shift+S. And now I can, something that I showed during the UE, I can Shift and left click on the box and I can move it around. So for example, I'm going to put a box here and then I'm going to do Control C, Control B. I'm going to put another box here and I'm going to shift and right click to rotate this box, shift and right click to rotate this box. And I'm doing Control C, Control V, copy paste. So I'm putting another box here and Control C, Control V, copy paste. I'm going to put another box here and I'm going to rotate it to be like this. It's important, like, you know, create some boxes, copy paste, Control C, Control V, move them and rotate them around. It's important that none of the boxes are in the center, because in the center is going to be the starting position of the robots. So yeah, another way of changing the rotation, for example, could be to come here and change the, the angle in radians. For example, let's say something like 1. So for example, you can see how this box suddenly rotated. So anyway, once you are happy, you can do Control Shift Control F, save all. And now if you click on this button, hopefully it goes to this position. Nice. So for example, I'm going to rotate a bit, and then once I click here, it goes to this starting position. So more or less with this bit of the tutorial, we have created a world and we have added some objects. So the next step, it's going to be adding a robot. But before we do that, there is something like very important, which you can find on one of the slides, which says pause, reset, modify, and save. So this is, very important, because if we add objects or we change the world once the simulation is not paused and reset, the results are going to be very unexpected. We don't know what's going to happen. So every time we want to add objects, robots or something, remember always to have it, here in pause. Remember to click reset, modify the scene, and then save. And yeah, this is the order to do it. I've had many headaches because I forgot to reset, or I forgot to press pause, and then I was modifying the scene, spending like half an hour tweaking things. And then, when you want to run it again or something because you didn't do it the right way, everything is broken. So remember, as the slide says, very important, when you want to modify, pause, reset, modify, and save. And remember that save is not Control S, save is Control Shift S. If you do Control S, it's not going to do anything. It's only going to save the text here. So Control Shift S.